You sure you don't want some? It's chamomile. Listen, you are extremely terrifying. Just the scariest undead subhuman thing on TV, and I really mean that. But I am worried that you could give my kids nightmares if they see you, so I'm gonna have to block you. So that's it. Oh, and tell the zombies they're blocked too.
Welcome to This Week with Sheriff Dave Phelan, a weekly program here on LSN Television, and we're also carried by a number of our radio affiliates throughout Lancaster and beyond. Do appreciate you, the viewers and listeners that join us each and every week. This show is produced on site at Fairfield Christian Academy, and do appreciate JT and all the staff here and all the kids and students that put this program together, and certainly our executive producer, Kelly Roberts, that has been instrumental in really doing a great job these last few shows, trying to go a little bit beyond some of the typical things that we've talked about in years past, and expanding. Have a lot of good programs coming up in the future. We're going to be talking about our SORN program, our sex offenders. We're going to be talking with Chief Dave Bailey with the Lancaster Police Department, a number of officials throughout the county. So we've got a great year coming up in 2014. Back this week by popular demand is Jason Coy. Jason is an inspector with the Lancaster Fire Department, been with them 10 years. How long have you been a fire inspector?
Pretty much the whole time.
Oh, really?
I got hired on and was riding a truck, what we call riding backwards, a firefighter position. Mm-hmm. And opening came up in prevention. They asked if I'd be interested, and I said, sure, why not? So.
And I'll tell you, we had last week talked about Christmas tree safety, talked about a lot of things as we're into the Christmas season. And I want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas, too, before I forget that. But we've got a lot of things to talk about. We touched on the Christmas trees. Make sure you have a fresh tree. Make sure it's getting plenty of water and those kind of things. But let's also talk a little bit about smoke detectors and how important they are in home safety when it comes to fires.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of fires we go to, and we, as inspectors, we also investigate cause and origin of fires here in the city. So we see a lot of fires, and most of the time when we go to a house and check for the cause of the fire, we also document their smoke detectors, whether they had batteries, they're working, look like they're in working condition or not. Unfortunately, most of the time the batteries are taken out and the smoke detectors. So it's a good idea to not steal the batteries out of the smoke detector to use for your TV remote. Keep those batteries in there. Check those smoke detectors at least once a month. Once a month should be plenty, and change them when the time changes. Every 6 months, just go ahead and change those batteries.
Don't wait for the beep and that stuff.
Don't wait for the beep, because especially if you go, let's say you go on vacation, you're gone for a week or two, and it just happens as you're walking out the door to your car to leave on vacation, it starts to beep to tell you had a low battery.
Okay.
Well, you're gone for a week or two, it's going to keep beeping. Well, the battery's going to die in that time, and you come back thinking, well, it's not beeping, so it must be good, and in fact, it actually died. So that's why it's a good idea to change them every 6 months no matter what. Don't count on that beep. It's a component that could fail also, so don't rely on that.
But I'll tell you, that is really important, because to be honest with you, I never thought about that. You leave for a prolonged period of time, the beep goes away, you come back, you think you've got, and then from that point on, that is not going to be working, right?
Right, yeah, it's useless to you if the batteries aren't in it in working order.
Right. So when you, do you still run into homes that do not have smoke detectors?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay.
There's several houses. We've had several that are the people were saved by smoke detectors, and we like to see that.
Right.
We don't like to see anybody have a fire, but if they do, we like the smoke detectors being working order, and they are all outside. We love to pull up to the fire scene and see everybody outside, and they say everybody's out. That just makes our job a lot easier. We don't have to go in and look for somebody. We know everybody's out and nobody got hurt.
Now, let's say that one of our viewers or listeners are watching today or listening today, and they have not done this. What would be proper placement of smoke detectors in a home?
You want to have a smoke detector in every bedroom and at least one on every floor of the house. So if you have a 3-bedroom house, ranch-style house, we'll just make it easy on one floor.
Okay.
Don't put one in the kitchen because it's not a cooking timer. It will give you false alarms, even though you don't see smoke. If you have it too close to the kitchen, it'll go off, and you don't want to have false alarms because then everybody gets complacent. I'm sure everybody's been in a mall or somewhere and heard smoke alarms go off and nobody moves because they get complacent.
That's like at a hotel when
Yep.
you hear the smoke, the alarms go up, people just stay in their rooms because they figure it's another false alarm.
Yeah, so you want to have it close to the kitchen but not actually in the kitchen. So like a living room, if it's right next to the kitchen, put one in the living room.
Okay.
Ideal point would be the highest point, which would be your ceiling, in the center of the room. You don't want to have it over in the corner. If you have a ceiling fan like we have above us, you don't want to put it above that ceiling fan either. You want to give yourself a little bit of distance from a light or a ceiling fan, but you want to try to shoot for the middle of the room at the highest point. Stay away from the corners of the ceiling and the wall. Don't put it down on the wall a foot or two. A lot of people put them there because you can reach them,
Yeah.
and change batteries. For a fire to start in that room and the smoke come down, you're going to have a lot of fire before that smoke builds enough to set off that smoke detector.
Isn't that
to float
interesting?
down.
Because I can't tell you how many times I've seen smoke detectors on the wall.
Yeah, and we see it, and we just educate people.
Sure.
We do a lot of adoption inspection. If you adopt somebody here in the city, we have to inspect your house or foster care or daycare. We have to inspect those. And I see a lot in that case, and we just educate them on where to put them.
Basement would be another
Basement
location?
would be another one. If you have a second story, you want to have one up there like the shared hallway,
Okay.
maybe up the stairs,
Okay.
and still one in every bedroom.
Okay.
It's better to have more than not enough. They have come a long way with technology. Actually, in my own house, I have what's called wirelessly interconnected smoke alarms. You are available at a lot of retailers, Lowe's, Menards, online, a bunch of different places. So if there's a fire in the basement, instead of running wires through the whole house like a commercial fire alarm system,
Right.
they communicate wirelessly. They're really easy to program. It's kind of, if you've ever done a garage door opener, it's just the switches you move back and forth to program it. The same with these, you just set them all on the table, program them all the same way, and then start putting them up. If the one in the basement goes off because of a fire, it smells the smoke, it sets off all of them in the house. It's a lot better than the ones that only go off when they smell smoke. You could have a fire in the basement and you never know it upstairs in your bedroom, and the smoke rises, so it's going to eventually come up there and set it off, but you're behind the ball at that point.
And most of the new homes the smoke detectors are already wired in. They're hardwired, and then the battery is just a backup in case the electric goes out.
Correct.
Is that
Yeah.
right?
A lot
Okay.
of the newer houses will have the actual wired systems. But you can, if you're in an older house, you don't want to run wires.
Sure.
Somewhere in mine, I didn't want to drag wires, and this new technology was great, so I put those in. It's been out for probably 7 or 8 years now. They've had those smoke detectors now.
That's great. Home dryers, other source that you see with house fires. Tell us a little bit about some things we need to know when we talk about our dryers.
Yeah, next to stove fires, dryer fires are another common household fire cause. A lot of people get in the habit of running it when they're asleep, or if they got to run to the store or something, they just let it run.
I'm guilty. I'm
Yeah,
guilty. Yes.
Everybody does it. You just got to break yourself in the habit, because that'll be the one time that a fire does happen, is when you're gone. So the dryer is a good thing to do. Everybody knows to clean the lint trap out after every load, but you want to also do a couple other steps. You can take the back cover off of the dryer A lot of them, either the whole shell will come off or they'll have access doors on the back. You want to take it apart as far as you feel comfortable, so that way you can put it back together and it'll work. You want to take it apart, take a shop vac, take a vacuum cleaner, and vacuum out the inside of the dryer. Not all the lint makes it through the exhaust or gets caught by the lint trap. Some of it gets in the shell of the dryer, and then that gets compacted around the motor, which causes it to overheat. Then we can have a potential fire cause there. So you want to clean those out. I would suggest a normal family size of, say 3 or 4 people. You should probably do it at least every year. You could do it more if you like, but I would say probably at least a year you want to check it. A lot of the newer dryers are a little bit better, but especially if you have an older dryer, you might need to do it every 6 months or so. And then the lint trap itself, once you're done doing laundry for that day, you want to take the lint trap out. You want to turn on hot water in any sink you have and let it get hot, and then run that lint trap underneath the water, going back and forth to hit every single little part of that screen. You want to be able to have the water go straight through and not pool. I guarantee 99% of the people that do try this, it will pool the first time you do it. And that's common. It's because of the fabric softener sheets, those kind of things develop a film on that screen, and if the water can't get through, the air is not going to get through either. So you want to get it and clean it out. I think you'll notice, especially on older dryers, that the clothes might actually dry on one cycle, especially if you're having a dryer you have to run 2 cycles. That either means there's a bird nest in your dryer duct going outside, or it's plugged with lint, or there's lint inside the dryer. There's something going on is why it's not drying. And it also could be old age of the dryer. But check those things first before you run out and buy a new dryer. You maybe just need to clean out your vent. So yeah, just keeping up on your dryer. A lot of people don't think about it, and I didn't think about it either until I went to a class in that state up north about dryer or gas and electric fires.
Let's talk, because we just have a couple minutes left, on people using their generators when the electric goes out, other, the carbon monoxide issues.
Yeah, you want to make sure when the power goes out that you have a well-ventilated area for that generator to be in. You don't want to run it in the house, you don't want to run it in the basement, because you're going to have CO, carbon monoxide, in the house. You can't smell it. It's called a silent killer because you can go to sleep. It makes you sleepy, you go to sleep, and then you never wake up. So you want to make sure you have that outside, and then run a power cord to run your refrigerator or whatever you need to run in through a window, and then kind of make sure that you get a CO detector when you do need to run it, because that'll monitor the CO levels in the house. Maybe the wind's blowing just right, that window you have the cord going through, the carbon monoxide from your generator is actually being sucked into the house. So you want to make sure you have a CO detector also.
And maybe have that area under the window, if you got your window up, kind of put some kind of covering there.
Yeah, you can put something, a blanket or something there to kind of keep it. And you want to make sure you have fresh air coming in too, just like kerosene heaters.
And carbon monoxide detectors, just like smoke detectors, important.
Oh, yeah, very important.
Boy, we've covered a lot of territory. We'd like to have you back before too long. I know there's a lot of things that we can talk about, maybe as we get into the summer. And I think our viewers and listeners will be fascinated just some of the things that firefighters see each and every day. With us, Jason Coy. Appreciate it, Jason. You've done a great job the last couple of weeks, and do appreciate you taking time out, and do appreciate all the men and women that work on the Lancaster Fire Department. They do a terrific job, well thought of across the nation, and certainly it's good as a resident of Lancaster to know you guys are there if, God forbid, we need you. Well, the clock on the wall says we've got to go. Until next week, same time, same place. This is Sheriff Dave Phelan. Buckle up if you're out there. God bless, and certainly have a Merry Christmas.
What gets you moving? Because when you get moving an hour a day,
You fuel your body,
And your mind.
whether you like to throw around the football,
play frisbee in the park,
Or dance in your room.
moving every day helps give you a healthy body and mind.
And that makes you part of a winning team. Hey, that was my line. Get up and play an hour a day, Doc.
check out how to be a player at letsmove.gov.
Head online to get tips on great ways to get moving every day.
That's www.letsmove.gov.